Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, a fire at an apartment complex in Detroit Lakes displaces several residents. And condolences continue to pour in for Attorney General Wayne Stingham, who suddenly passed away. Plus, a new community center is opening in North Fargo. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I am Nisha Taylor. Several people are without a home tonight after a fire displaced all of the residents living in a 27-unit apartment building in Detroit Lakes. The Detroit Lakes Fire Department says they were called just before 10:30 this morning. Firefighters say the fire started in the living room of one of the first floor apartments, but the investigation into the cause is still ongoing. Some residents were taken to the hospital to receive medical treatment. Now it's still unclear how many people were hurt and their conditions are still unknown at this time. New tonight at 10, some parents in the West Fargo School District will have to find another way to get their kids to school starting on Monday. In an email sent to parents this evening, 3 routes are being temporarily suspended for the next 2 weeks. School officials say they were notified that the Valley Bus Company does not have enough drivers to cover all of the district's contracted routes, and drivers are already working to transport students on crowded buses. Currently, Fargo Public Schools also uses bus services from Valley Bus. Flags continue to fly at half-staff in honor of Attorney General Wayne Stingham and his long-time service to the state. Yesterday, Governor Burgum directed all government agencies to fly the United States and North Dakota flags at half-staff until further notice. Burgum also encourages North Dakotans to do the same at their homes and businesses. Condolences continue to pour in for Attorney General Wayne Stingham after his sudden passing yesterday evening. In 2011, Stingham was selected as the Alumnus of the Year by the Bismarck State College National Alumni Association Board. Stingham graduated from the college back in 1972. Former BSC president shared what he meant as a friend and as an example to the people of North Dakota.
It was just always fun to be in an event where Wayne was going to talk. So the whole college has for a very long time now, been very, very proud of Wayne Stingham, and it's a great loss to our communities.
Bismarck State College has a tree with Stingham's plaque near the Armory building, where several people were seen admiring it earlier today. President Joe Biden says he will move U.S. troops to Eastern Europe and NATO countries in the near term. And even though the U.S. warned there is a distinct possibility that Moscow could invade its neighbor in February, the president of Ukraine is telling his people not to panic. NBC's Matt Brantley reports.
Yeah, well, even after all these weeks and months of failed diplomacy, we're still seeing this grind toward war. And now we're hearing from President Zelensky himself. I actually went to a press conference with members of the foreign press at the presidential palace, and he had a couple messages for the foreign press and really for the international community. He said, the reason why we're not so panicked is because really we've been at war. Ukrainians have been fighting in the east of the country against pro-Russian separatists for the last 7 or 8 years. So for Ukrainians, this isn't really anything new. And he also reminded the foreign press and international observers that he is the president of Ukraine, and he knows what is going on in his country and just outside of his borders. And he feels as though there's still a chance for diplomacy and that there still is a chance that Russia simply won't invade, that Vladimir Putin will withdraw his troops. It's unclear whether he's right. Recent U.S. intelligence shows a massing of even more troops as the days and days go on. But there still are negotiations. The next one is going to be in 2 weeks in Berlin. Nobody's putting much hope in that. A lot of the negotiations up until now have all failed, and it seems to many as though Russia is simply making this diplomacy as a sort of diplomatic pantomime. But people here in Ukraine, well, from the president to your average guy in the street, they all seem pretty relaxed. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Today, Fargo Cass Public Health opened its COVID site testing doors for the first of 3 Saturdays. Leadership say these added dates will help with the influx of people needing to get tested as the Omicron variant surges. The site sees anywhere from 2,000 to 4,800 people a day. Officials say most people are leaning towards getting a rapid test. Now, there is no cap on how many times people can come get tested. But with these tests being in high demand, the organization asks people to limit their trips to 3 times a week.
Depending on how our surge goes at this time, hopefully there's been some rumors that we're maybe peaked or starting to peak. And so, it will probably take, some time to come back down, but this should provide some relief and some weekend access for the next 3 weeks. And then we can evaluate after that time.
The site is open from 8 a.m. to noon for the next 3 Saturdays. People wanting to get tested should register online ahead of time. Truckers and other activists rolled into Ottawa, Canada today for the so-called Freedom Convoy rally, protesting against vaccine mandates. The massive protest started out as a rally against the vaccine requirement for cross-border truckers, but it turned into a demonstration against government outreach during the pandemic. Back in October, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a vaccine mandate for federal workers, and then last month, both Canada and the U.S. imposed one for cross-border truckers. Later on Valley News Live at 10, a new community center is opening for youth in Fargo. But up next, our Saturday is looking quiet, but it won't last too long. Summer's in next with details.